Three, two, one. We're live. We're gonna have an intro here soon because we can't just go in dry, bro. We gotta warm up the audience and get them nice and relaxed before they see us. Do what's up, man? Happy early birthday! Can everyone in the chat wish Dr. Narco Longus here a happy early birthday? Because it's
shit, we're looping.
We're what?
Fuck.
Just turn off the stream.
Hang on. All right, there we go. My bad.
Well, we sound fine though. Can we get a sound check in the chat? How we sound? A happy birthday, Dr. Narco Longus. Happy early birthday.
Thank you.
How old are you gonna be, bro?
How old am I gonna be?
Yeah.
27.
27.
No, 28. Sorry, 28.
28?
Yeah, my bad.
I thought you were gonna be 26, bro.
No.
Hey, shout out to Donut in the chat right now. Shout out Donut. But yeah, dude. So I've been working on this presentation for the last week. Very excited. Have a lot of stuff to talk about. And I'm sure that while we're talking, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come up as we're talking. And so, let me share my screen here real quick. And everyone, make sure to go check out my show over. We're streaming to both channels today, the Juan podcast channel and the Old World Florida channel. Make sure to check out the Patreons. Is it patreon.com/oldworldflorida?
Yeah.
And then patreon.com/Juan podcast, www.tjojp.com. Do you want to plug anything else, Longo?
No, I'll do it at the end.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm also live every Tuesday on Twitch, twitch.tv/Juan podcast, all that good stuff. Links down in the description. Here, let me share my screen. So I have a couple things. We're going to be going over a couple things today. We're going to be going over, obviously, sinkholes in Florida and some that are outside of Florida. And I stumbled across this. I'm going to talk about it because I went down a rabbit hole the other night. And this has really been one of my biggest fears because although the chances of you dying by sinkhole are low, they're never zero. Okay. And they always show up unexpectedly and they strike quickly. And there is a case where there was a man sleeping and never to be seen again. So we're going to be talking about that here in a little bit. But everyone always says, right, wish the ground would swallow me up, right, when you're in an awkward situation or something. And here in Florida, which is the sinkhole capital of the world, that could quite literally happen to you. So how we got here is something I had a video pop up on my YouTube, and I was surprised to see where this particular sinkhole was at, off of Fairbanks Avenue, off of I-4 in the middle of Orlando. And it's the deepest. They called the mystery sink, stretches about an estimated 500 feet down, but they've never been able to get to the bottom. And they actually use this particular sinkhole as a training sinkhole, I guess, for divers to go down and dive. And the reason it's closed off to the public is because one time a diver went down, never came back up, at least not alive, and they had to go back down and rescue him. And this is actually on private property right now. So the deepest sinkhole in Florida. And then there's some, I'm going to be touching on some other notable sinkholes, which a lot of the lakes that we know and love here in Florida are actually sinkholes, and some very notable ones that we're going to be talking about today. But Deep Lake was one that stood out to me because it's on the southern end of Lake Okeechobee, and it's actually 90 feet deep, naturally occurring sinkhole. And an interesting part about this is that the top half is fresh water, the lower half salt water. Okay. And I thought it was interesting because we have here old Billy Bowlegs, Chief Holada Miko, also known as Billy Bowlegs, 1858. And they talk about him here. Had held territory very near here, the land was relatively high and fertile, making it conductive to growing fruit trees and gardens. Following the second Seminole War in 1842, they lived in relative peace. However, in 1855, either intentionally or by accident, a group of U.S. Army engineers and surveyors destroyed the camp, fruit trees, and gardens when he wasn't there. So, of course, right, the old white man coming in and doing what he does best, right? So, you have some other Walter Langford here, but I find it interesting that it's 90 feet deep, one of the deepest naturally occurring. Top half is freshwater, lower half is saltwater. So I watched the video on this and I was like, you know what we haven't talked about on the Old World Florida channel or anywhere else? Sinkholes. So I figured that we start off with some of the history, what is a sinkhole, how they occur, and some of the more notable ones. So the mystery hole, which is known as Emerald,
and the spiritual significance, of course.
Yes, we have some
there.
mythology in there. Yeah, absolutely. So Emerald Springs, and look at where this is at. Because I'm like, when they were talking, I was like, Fairbanks Avenue. I drive here. I've driven past this thing a bunch of times. It's literally in the middle of Orlando, off of I-4, off of Fairbanks. Now, don't go trespassing or anything like that. But now you know where it's at, the mystery hole. And here we have the.
Oh, I know where the mystery hole is at.
No, it's not. Not your mom, dude. All right, let's keep it respectful, okay, dude?
Are we getting a loop? I hear myself.
You're probably you probably have it running in the background, dude. You good? Test. Doctor is echoing. Is he echoing?
You guys hear that? I'll be right back.
Is he echoing? Am I echoing? Longo is in the multiverse. That's weird. Here, I'll do something here real quick. That's lame. Maybe it's me sharing my system audio, but I don't think so because I'm not running it. Let me turn off the audio. Share it again. Auditory sinkhole. That's right. Longo is echoing. Was it only Longo, but not me? Huh. Juan is clear. Doc is feedback looping. Longo. Come on. Dr. Ekango. Of course. He's technical homunculus. I'm going to Disney soon. What should I look out for? Like tunnels? Yeah, there's definitely tunnels under Disney, 100%. I'm going to be there tomorrow, so if you want to meet up, just let me know. Longo, talk again.
Hello. Like we're all good.
You good?
Yeah. Should be all good.
All right. So I turned off my system audio just in case it was that. So we won't be able to hear the audio on this. I'm not going to play it though. I'm just going to read it here. According to Orange County Regional History Center, the hourglass shaped hole is roughly 150 feet around and estimated 500 feet deep, perhaps even more. And that's far deeper than other notorious sinkholes like Deep Lake, which again is a sinkhole, or the 1981 Winter Park sinkhole, which we're going to be talking about. But you're not likely to hear about it. It is on private property. And in 1970, a 16-year-old boy went scuba diving in the lake with a local diving instructor who had leased the right to use the hole to teach about deep water diving. The pair were searching the lake for a lost safety vest, but Watts eventually realized that the teen was no longer with him. Watts reportedly spotted the teen's light below him, but it disappeared before he could find the teen. Watts blacked out, and by the time he came to, he was unable to find the boy, and the teen was presumed drowned. So a 16-year-old boy, see if I can make this bigger, died. And ever since then, it's been closed to the public, and that was in 1970. I thought it was more recent than that, but not. So here you go here. Scuba diving. A massive search. 3 days later, another diver, Bud Sims, was helping with the search, but he became tangled in the lines that were being used to find the boy's body, according to the sheriff's office. As a result, he panicked, losing his mouthpiece and swimming quickly toward the surface, deputies said. In a TV boat floating above the dive team, the crew heard and felt a thud before spotting a light that drifted down deeper into the lake. Investigators said that Sims had died before he even struck the boat. So this thing is just taking lives one right after another one, which is not good, right? So you should probably stay away from the holes if you see them. At the time, Watts, who had joined the dive team in the search, raced after Sims, though he suffered from the bends and was forced to stay below the water until first responders could get him to a recompressing chamber. Ultimately, neither the team nor Sims' bodies were ever recovered. And with 2 lives being claimed by the sinkhole, was closed to the public for good, with a large barbed fence being constructed around the area. So again, it's on private land, and it took 2 people that they never found their bodies. So again, I stumbled across a video about this, and I found it interesting because I'd never heard about this deep ass sinkhole that's in the middle of Orlando, and they've never been able to get to the bottom of it. So the most famous sinkhole, if people look up famous Florida sinkholes, they're probably going to see the 1981 Winter Park sinkhole. Now it's funny because I had put together the part about the Winter Park sinkhole, and then in another article that I read, it was talking about Lake Rose, and I didn't know that they turned it into a lake after the fact. And the reason that the Winter Park sinkhole was so famous was 320 feet by 90 feet long, 90 feet deep. I'm sorry. So 320 feet wide, 90 feet deep. And the interesting part about this, and there's some conspiracies when it comes to the sinkhole. Damn, I can't play my audio. Here, I'm going to share just the tab so I can play the audio of this real quick. It's only a minute long. Here we go. Share. All right. Let me know if you can hear this, bro.
Park City Manager's office, there's a photograph that looks more sci-fi than reality. Jeff Briggs remembers this day vividly.
There was a phone call from a woman who said her backyard is falling in.
It was a 60-year-old woman on the phone named May Rose Owens, and she was losing her backyard to a fast-growing sinkhole. May ended up losing her home entirely. Several businesses also gave up inventory and parts of their buildings, and the city of Winter Park lost a community landmark.
Oof.
Well, the biggest loss to the city was our community swimming pool.
Ronnie Moore was in charge as the pool and everything around it was swallowed up by the 300.
Dude, look how big that thing is, bro.
And it took in large oak trees and was crushing them like.
He's like, I seen bigger.
In 1981, it totaled $4 million in damage. That would be about $10 million today. If the same scenario played out, it would be covered. But recovering losses from sinkholes can be tricky.
You are covered if something dramatic happens. For instance, your house falls in a sinkhole. Lesser damages.
Yo, we got the
certain criteria.
Jared, the subway guy on this.
May Rose Owens' house was covered, but she also got some big help from the community.
She got some help because her insurance policy covered her home, but not the land that was lost.
Wow.
And so the Civil Engineering Society got together and raised $50,000 to buy her a lot so she could rebuild her home.
Interesting. So,
well, some of our News 6 viewers.
So that's the most famous sinkhole in Florida. It swallowed up part of a Porsche dealership as well. And we were talking about the Coquina Cowboys. Well, there's a conspiracy revolving around this particular sinkhole because the conspiracy is that so here they are taking out some Porsches because this was, I guess, a part of a Porsche dealership. Stories circulated that one of the cars retrieved from the sinkhole was full of cocaine.
Wow.
Conspiracy, right? They said not true, but realtor Bob Govern, the owner of a 1979 Porsche 928 that was retrieved from the hole, was later sentenced to 45 years in prison for helping run a $300 million marijuana ring. So again, that was one of the conspiracies of the cars that they pulled out, because I guess they pulled out some pretty valuable Porsches. We saw this one in the video flopping out of the building there. But yeah, the cocaine conspiracy of the sinkhole, where I don't know, they said that allegedly one of the cars was packed full of something in the trunk, some extra powder in the trunk. So, what is a sinkhole? How do they form? Blah blah blah. Right. All about it. They can strike in the night, and that's one of my biggest fears now. Whenever you hear your house settling, maybe perhaps there's maybe a sinkhole underneath it. We did the episode with, what was his name, Brent, the guy that unfortunately passed away in a cave, breaking a record actually.
Yeah, Brett Hemphill.
Brent,
R.I.P.
yeah, he showed us what it looks like underneath, essentially what a sinkhole would open up to. And the particular system that he showed us was underneath a community. So essentially, under the
Yeah.
foundation of your house, how we see here, you could be a couple feet away from a bottomless pit that opens up into one of these corridors that had 150, 200-foot ceilings inside the caverns that he was swimming in.
Yeah, we can pull some video up too if you want to go through it. I got it in front of me.
Yeah, go ahead and send it over so people can. I don't want to freak anybody out, but it's been freaking me out reading about this, and this is why I'm doing this presentation. But yeah, let's look at this. So a sinkhole, according to the United States Geological Survey, right? Because we got to trust whatever the government tells us, is a depression in the ground that has no natural external surface drainage. Basically, this means that when it rains, all the water stays inside the sinkhole and typically drains into the subsurface. Sinkholes are most common in what geologists call karst terrain, which I believe it was Karst Research, the name of Brent's company, something cave diving.
Yeah.
These are regions where the type of rocks below the land surface can naturally be dissolved by groundwater circulating through them. Soluble rocks include salt beds and domes, gypsum, limestone, and other carbonate rock. Florida, for instance, is an area largely underlain by limestone and is highly susceptible to sinkholes. So sinkholes usually happen more during the rainy season. You see them more because, again, the water is just washing everything away. When water from rainfall moves through the soil, these types of rock begin to dissolve. This creates underground spaces and caverns. Sinkholes are dramatic because the land usually stays intact for a period of time until the underground spaces just get too big. If there is not enough support for the land above the spaces, then a sudden collapse of land surface can occur. Mind you, you're mowing your lawn, picking some weeds, doing whatever. Boom, one thing leads to another. The ground opens up, you're gone. Right? You're gone, and then potentially you could be swimming in what would be one of these, which this is from our boy, rest in peace, Brent. But this is Wikiwachi, which where is that in Florida, bro? Wikiwachi, Hernando County. That is over by, is it Blue Springs area?
I think it's near Gainesville, maybe a little east.
Brooksville, yeah, by Spring Hill. So essentially, a sinkhole would open up to one of these. This is underground. This is Florida right now. Underneath our own feet, there could be an entire system. Yeah, bam, a direct line to inner Earth, Shambhala or something, and you're in there, and you're with it. That's all she wrote. Which, again, the chances of, usually when a sinkhole opens up, although there are a lot here in Florida and something known as the Sinkhole Alley, they usually open up, but there's nobody around, nobody gets hurt. But there have been some instances where people have been swallowed up, and it's dude, it's terrifying, bro. Like, thinking about that, going to sleep, and what if one of the sides of your house collapses or something? What are you gonna do? Oh, there goes grandma. Fuck,
I mean, if that's how God wants you, there's nothing you can do about it.
That's a rough way to go. But check this out. Look how
Yeah.
the serious room. Look how crazy.
Oh yeah, this shit heats up.
Bro. Look at that.
It's like the Grand Canyon. It's literally the Grand Canyon underwater.
Oh my God, bro. Look at and he said that wasn't even the largest room.
No.
Wikiwachi, what was the name of the video here? Wikiwachi Minas Tirith. Is this what it is?
Minas Tirith. Lord of the Rings reference. That's what they named it.
Which I'm sure they have a map of it here.
Yeah.
So it's actually connected to a few springs. There isn't much info about Minas Tirith Springs in Florida, but here's some information about springs in Florida. Rainbow Springs, never mind. It's AI doing its thing. There's something called the Bone Room. Wonder what they did there.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, Karst Underwater Research, KUR, it was the company Brent was a part of, and they did map the whole thing. Oh, here we go. So what you're seeing here is part of this entire system here, where you see all these caverns and pathways.
Is this Sheol? Yes, this is Sheol.
Is it?
Yep. You know what's crazy though is that Brett, RIP to Brett. This is no poor reflection on him whatsoever, but he did mention, because I saw someone in the comments said, this is where they filmed the space stuff. This is where they filmed the fake space. Well, it just so happens that when Brett was talking to us, he did say that, they test, he's diving, and yes, it is very close to what astronauts do. And they use some of the same training equipment, and facilities to train underwater astronauts and scuba divers. Not only that, he said that, Juan, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he said his dad did work for NASA or in some capacity with or as an astronaut.
Yeah, I think I recall something like that. I mean, this was an interview a while back, but yeah, I think I remember him saying something like that. You think that NASA would be in here doing, or finding an area similar to this to do testing, bro?
How funny would it be if you went down, and if you went down, you're like, oh guys, I'm going this way, so catch up with you in a bit, and you go down this one little cave, and then you come into another Lord of the Rings sized room, and you just see a space shuttle,
Right.
just a space shuttle or a Tesla or an underwater Tesla floating around live streaming.
Well, here's the thing, dude. So I think what ends up happening is, right, this goes back to the concept of wanting to emulate God and wanting to recreate what God. So, okay, let's say that they have their own facility and they're creating, right, this serious room. I mean, that's a reference to space right there. Maybe they recreate it in some sort of way, and they take their idea from, look at the dude, how insane is this right here? Look how wild that looks. And I'm sure the video doesn't even do it justice as far as how big it is. But the fact that this is under our feet right now,
Yeah,
it could be under you right now, and
look at that. That almost looks like blocks or like a wall.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, guys, for everyone wondering, like Juan said, this is literally anywhere you're standing in Florida, there's pretty much something like this deep down.
Yes.
Florida's like a big hunk of Swiss cheese.
Yes.
That's filled with fresh water, spring water, some salt water, some sulfur water. Yeah.
Yeah, and these are the ones that they found, as far as. But how do you even begin to find something like that? I mean, like, I don't have claustrophobia, but I don't think I could do what they were doing, like, going into these tight spaces. Because he showed us a video what it looks like going in, and they have to take their entire suit off and squeeze themselves into these places.
Yeah.
So here, I'm sure we'll pull up. You have a couple other videos too, right?
Yes, I have another video.
Look at that. Look at that, dude. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Look at that.
The ring around the room. Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah, back up a little bit more.
It gives me anxiety just seeing this, dude. And they're in it, and they can't
This shot right here.
Look at that.
Oh my God. It's literally the Grand Canyon underwater. Florida has an entire Grand Canyon underneath it. And pretty much these are each old sinkholes that had already happened. You know, long time ago. Something gave way and all this collapsed.
Yes, it dissolved. So essentially a sinkhole, you know, as long as the water keeps rising, it'll keep just chipping away, and you get a cenote. That's what a cenote is, which we'll get here to in a little bit. But oof, dude, gives me the heebie-jeebies watching that there. So here, let's continue here. So that's what a sinkhole is according to the United States Geological Survey. How many sinkholes are there in Florida? There's over 27,000 reported sinkhole incidences and sinkhole affected parcels across 59 counties in Florida. And if you notice, the concentration is around here.
Yeah.
Of the sinkholes, something referred to as Sinkhole Alley.
Yeah.
Here in Florida. Now, this website, you can go on this website, sinkholemaps.com. It didn't work too well. And I think you had to subscribe or something like that, but you can check it out. And essentially what it does is you click that. Actually, hold on. This is a different website. I think this is a county website. Give me 1 second. Yeah, this is a county website. The other sinkhole website wasn't working too well, but you zoom in here and you can click on these and it gives you a little bit of information. This is from 1959. It tells you road closed, you know, it tells you the newspaper article, the dimensions of it, and sometimes you can find more information about it. Covers more, I don't know, they all say the same thing, covers more than 200 feet thick. So that's like a universal thing, but you go here and it'll tell you 7 sinkholes opened up in the same area, same day, plotting approximately 501 feet east of given address. And it'll give you the houses and everything. So if you're ever looking for a home in Florida, it would probably be best if you look up, just see if it's near a sinkhole. And it just so happens to be that I bought a property where, according to the local legend, it was a sinkhole back in the 60s. Now, I wasn't able to find any of that information when they told me about that. But that's what the locals say, that it was a sinkhole. So if you guys don't hear from me again, just know that I was chilling out. Ground opened up. Rest is history. So right here, a possible sinkhole has formed in place of an old well 60 feet from the back door. So it gives you a little bit of information. This is arcgis.com. This is actually a state website, but you can see all the sinkholes here that people have reported from all the years around. And so want to add this little segment here.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Listen, dude. Listen.
Here we go.
The numbers don't lie.
You've been taking your meds, Juan?
Listen. The numbers don't lie, Longo. And the numbers told me something today. Okay.
This is actually really good.
Well, I think you're gonna be a little bit disappointed, but here we go. So sinkhole equals 31 in Chaldean, but you know what also equals 31, Longo?
Elohim.
Fake and gay. So could sinkholes really be fake and gay? You know, that's what the numbers are saying. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here to inform the people. And so I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole and I'm like, so what else could be fake and gay? If sinkholes are fake and gay, you know, maybe they're sent by the Illuminati or by the Rosicrucians or something, who knows? But then I was like, well, what else is fake and gay? Astrology's 31, atomic bomb or atom bomb is 31, Barack H. Obama is 31, chemtrails, Congress, and even Joe Rogan. So could Joe Rogan be fake and gay, Long? I mean, the numbers.
Well, yes.
The bright line equals 31 is the bright line fake and gay. The Matrix is 31, and even YouTube is 31.
You gotta use Pythagorean though, dude.
Listen, dude, it doesn't matter. The numbers don't discriminate. Hurricanes is 33. Were they sent by the reptilians? And is that why they don't hit Tampa Bay or Walt Disney? Because it's 33. But you know what, dude? It doesn't matter because this is what the numbers think of you, okay? and they don't care about your feelings because that's the numbers. But again, that's just a little segment that I went down a little rabbit hole there about the numbers, and I was like, what are the numbers saying about the sinkholes? And the numbers are saying that they might be fake and gay. So here's where it gets interesting, and this is where I wanted to get your perspective on it, because I'm sure that you've talked about the Mayan connection when it comes to Florida. Now, it's going to get interesting here because the sacred cenote, sacred well, alternatively known as the well of sacrifice, is a water-filled sinkhole in limestone at the pre-Columbian Maya archaeological site of Chichen Itza in the northern Yucatan Peninsula. Okay. And according to both Maya and Spanish post-conquest sources, pre-Columbian Maya deposited valuables and human bodies in the cenote as a form of sacrifice to the rain god Sha'ak, right? And what does that remind you of? And this is why I texted you asking you where the War Mineral Springs was at, or which was the spring that they found one of the oldest preserved human brains in, which I didn't know, bro. But this spring is actually warm, right?
Yeah, it's pretty hot. It can be like 80 degrees to, I think, like just under 100 degrees. I don't know how hot it can get, but it's usually like body temperature.
So yeah,
Sometimes I've been there when it's a little warm and a little bit colder than body temperature.
hold on, dude. Where is this warm?
It's
mineral?
Northport. It's Southwest Florida, so near Sarasota, between Sarasota and Venice, I believe.
I was gonna say we should do the next meetup there, but I think that part might be a little destroyed right now.
Oh yeah. Got to give that area some time.
We got to give it some time, but maybe we can do another meetup at another one. Maybe another spring.
Well, we did one right by your house and you didn't come.
Oh, it's during the week, bro. I got a family. If it's like a
This
Saturday.
is work. You see, okay, here, you see what Juan thinks about you guys? He doesn't
No.
take this seriously. The truth comes second to his little slave job.
No. My
I put
family,
you
bro.
first,
You guys
always.
come second to my family. Okay, that's what that is.
We are your family.
Let's do one on please. Saturday or Sunday. I'll show up.
It's the full moon. You see this fucking pagan?
I'll smoke a bowl with you, bro. We'll chill out, do a live stream. We'll hang out. I mean, I'm probably gonna be useless after smoking that bowl.
Well, here, listen, there's a cool spot in Miami or south of Miami. It's in Homestead. There's one in Miami
the
too.
Redlands?
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty much the Redlands, but there's it's either called the Jungle Lagoon or Hidden Lagoon or Blue Lagoon. It goes by a bunch of different names.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I've heard about it.
Oh yeah, I bet you're the king of this place.
Right here, dude. Oh, dude, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, I bet you're the king of this place. You know
I know the owners of this place, bro.
You know why? Because by the end of the day, it's fucking 15% cerveza. It's fucking nothing but Spanish music blaring all day. Other than that, the place is great.
Oh, so you've been?
Oh yeah, this place is awesome. It's really. I'm only teasing too. I love the atmosphere there.
I love the Mexicans. The Mexicans are awesome. So,
Mexicans.
Yeah, I think they're probably Cuban. That's
mostly,
yeah. So here we have War Mineral Springs. Now, what's interesting is that they posed a question here: where are the remains today? Can anyone answer this question? Now, they don't answer it in the website, but here we have a picture, and if you want to take a look at this, this is an archetypal. If you look at this particular shape, almost all sinkholes are this shape. Now, what's interesting about that is that a lot of these ponds that you see on old farms or anywhere next to the 417 or the Turnpike or the 408 or I-95 or whatever, more than likely it's a sinkhole. Okay. And there are a lot of those everywhere. So if you see a pond that has no entrance or exit, so this one in particular, right? This is probably just wetlands or something. You have, these trails, that's probably people, but Anywhere you see where it doesn't have an entrance or an exit body and it's round like that, check this out. How many of these are probably sinkholes? Probably a majority of them, right? So perfect example right here. No entrance, no exit, right? You have just a circle. It's probably a sinkhole. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Look at this.
Yeah, I'm not sure if cypress domes form in sinkholes, but that whole area definitely is dotted with sinkholes.
Boom. This, could be a
Yeah.
sinkhole. It's
And
round.
just most of them fill in. Most of them fill themselves in like
Yes.
right away. It's only like a big major one where you have it staying, deep the whole time, where it falls in so deep that it never fully fills up or dries up again.
So it
Most of
makes
them just most of them fill most of the way back up.
I know this isn't a sinkhole, but it just makes you wonder, right? Lake Okeechobee.
Some people think Lake Okeechobee is an impact crater.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some people think that.
Oh, wow. I hadn't heard that one. In school, they told me it was a glacier that once upon a time came through and
No,
scraped out the indentation of the lakes and everything, right? This is my
that's
favorite.
BS.
So we have Lake East Toho Pelico. Here's one of the lakes that I fish, and we also have West Lake Toho, one of the natural lakes here, and we have Lake Kissimmee. This is the chain that I fish here, Lake Kissimmee, and these are all allegedly formed from these huge glaciers at one time that were here in Florida. Who knows, right? But here we have this archetypal shape, this round shape. It's usually a sign that it is a sinkhole. Here we have the anatomy of warm mineral springs, and what's interesting about this one is that so this is a little bit of a video inside of it. Wow, dude. That's wild here. So right here, you see, this is how it would form. Essentially, this would all wash away by the rising and falling or whatever. One day some dude was just being a caveman or something up here. Boom. That's it. Gone. Nobody ever saw him again. That can happen to anybody now.
Yeah, Warm Mineral Springs is awesome. Everyone's got to go check that place out. It's. Ooh, are you going to talk about the Fountain of Youth aspect?
Your thing.
Well, Warm Mineral Springs. There's this whole fountain of youth myth in Florida. Now, most people tend to think about drinking, drinking water, like a drinking fountain. And if that's the case, then it's probably just all the spring water in Florida. But if we're talking about a place for bathing, one particular very unique fountain or spring or pool for bathing, where, the benefits come from soaking in it rather than just drinking it. If that were the case, then Warm Mineral Springs is probably the one. And the locals really seem to think that. Warm Mineral Springs over there in Northport, Florida, they actually made it its own little city or its own little community now. It's called Warm Mineral Springs, I think. But I don't know how long it's been open, since like the 50s or whatever, but they used to dive this in the 50s, and we're going to watch some of this old video, I guess. But
I'll find the day. So it's average of 85 degrees, and it's been open since here, let me see. Warm Mineral Springs, Northport. The site was operated as a spa from 1946 until 2000. The springs reopened for swimming only in 2014. So it goes back at least 1946, bro.
So very early on, it started earning a reputation for its health benefits, and particularly with European people, right? When you grow up in Florida, the mystique is this is true for a lot of people. It's true for me, you know. Sometimes when you grow up in Florida, you kind of forget about the mystique. You know, it just doesn't seem that romantic, or the old legends don't really pop out, you know, like they do to maybe a tourist, right? When a tourist comes through, it's like, oh, Fountain of Youth, this, Juan Ponce de Leon, that. So sometimes they, you know, sometimes it's more appreciated by foreigners, and that's really the case with this one. Warm Mineral Springs has a cult following in Florida, and it's mainly Europeans. Russia, Ukraine, Poland,
Wow.
Eastern European countries, Baltic countries mainly. And I went there. I've been there. Both times I was there, we were the youngest people there, and we were the only people speaking English. And that's a fact, right? There might have been a few exceptions to that, but seriously, if you go there, you'll see it's all retirees from Eastern Europe, and they swear it's the Fountain of Youth. They fully think it's the Fountain of Youth. Once a day. You know, in Florida, you see a lot of these old people have a health regimen, right? Once they get into it, that's like their life for like the last 30 years of their life. They just do anything to try and stay young. Well, the people here, these Eastern Europeans, they take it to a whole another level. They actually go there once a day. They have this unique, you know, agreement with the city, where the city like runs this resort for them. It's crazy. And they go and spend, you know, an hour a day there. An hour a day. And they swear it keeps them young. There's people who swear it cured their cancer. There's people who swear it does this and that. There are remarkable claims being made. Most of
Wow.
them just say it keeps them young. But you've got to think preservative qualities, right? Preservatives. Most people hear preservatives, they think of you know, like McDonald's not decaying, right? Well, preservative effects, I guess you could say they work on the living and the dead. Because as Juan mentioned, and as we're going to talk about a little bit, there were brains. There's been human skulls that have been pulled up out of warm mineral springs. And, you know, all the water around Florida is kind of like this. All the bog water, swamp water, spring water. Almost all the water in Florida has a very preservative effect to it. And you'll find the Fountain of Youth, the place that people are saying is the Fountain of Youth, just so happens to be the same place where they pull out 10,000-year-old intact brains. So could that be an indicator that it has a preservative effect on the living, right? One would think so. And there's also, this is more the springs, less about the sinkholes, but they're pretty much one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
There's animals who live in the Florida Springs who live normally like 5 years. Everyone can go check this up. Go check this. There's animals that live in Florida Springs. 2 of them that I can think of right now. There's definitely more. And forgive me, okay? When we're on fucking Restream here, they can whatever this thing is set to, it can hear the chirp through the wall, okay? We switch our smoke detectors. We put batteries in our smoke detectors.
Oh, so it's your
okay?
neighbors. It's your
It
neighbors.
is. This is our fine culture. Okay? We replace our smoke detectors. These animals upstairs and, you know, next door, there's no one upstairs right now. That's actually the problem. There's no one up there. You know, we have nothing to do with them. Their fucking thing chirps all day long. And when my headphones are off, you actually don't hear it at all.
Because you're
But
used to it,
but
bro. That's why.
no. Restream, for some reason, can hear it. When I do StreamYard, not a single person ever says it.
We'll do
See, and
stream,
I
bro.
can't hear it either.
We'll do StreamYard
Whatever.
next week. And
Jesus.
and by the way, start putting, if you guys want to hear about anything else, that we're
Ceiling
covering.
bird.
For those just tuning in, we're covering sinkholes, Florida's underworld, and we're going through the history of sinkholes in Florida, what causes them, a little bit of the mythology and spiritual significance of it. So for those just coming in, welcome, and let us know what you want to hear about next week. We're going to try and do these weekly, every Thursday night, talk about some Florida stuff and whatever else comes up. Oh, I didn't say anything, dude. You were the one that brought it up, but the chat can hear it. I mean,
Yeah,
so
I'm trying to mute up in between when you're talking, but
it's fine, dude. The archaeological world initially dismissed his findings as a farce because, according to fossil records, it was believed the man that arrived in Florida no earlier than 7,000 years ago. For the last 40 years, several archaeological projects have been conducted in and around warm mineral springs, resulting in many outstanding discoveries. The most astonishing was the discovery of a 10,000-year-old human skull still containing brain matter. And this is similar to the Vero man, right? The Vero man was also, his skin was intact. Am I correct on that? Or was it his brain matter as well?
Vera Man was just really, really old, and it was alongside animals that we know are older than 13,000 years old. So we knew, yeah, the main issue with the warm mineral springs, the Vera Man, all this stuff is when the Smithsonian was created, they put out a curriculum. They put out a game plan, right? A kind of almost like a law, right? They made the limits, the parameters,
Yeah,
that everyone could explore around in, and they said it was only 6,000 years, 7,000 at most, that humans had been in the Americas. That even though man had been in, Africa, and this is out of Africa BS, so don't grill me on it, but millions of years, humans had been evolving somewhere else, but we'd only been in the Americas for 6,000 years. Why the heck is that? Now, we know now that's not true. And even, increasingly this year, some people are saying, 20,000, 50,000 years humans have been in America. Who knows? But every year it gets pushed farther back and farther back. And say what you want about timelines, but they really, really wanted to keep it very short. The Smithsonian needed all the findings to fit within 6,000 years. When they find stuff like this in warm mineral springs, you can doubt the carbon dating, right? But you can't doubt certain things. Certain things are just by their nature, the nature of how they were found, where they're located, they reveal a certain age. And for example, we'll watch one of these videos when Juan gets through everything he's got to talk about. If there's time, we'll watch this video of this dude finger blasting this brain out of a skull.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
dude.
literally what I just described, by the way.
Awesome.
But they found brains deep down in a skull, of course. They found a skull deep down in warm mineral springs that was off kind of to the side, that was almost in not a tunnel, but almost like a catwalk, or like a overhang, underneath an overhang, deep down, but it was off to the side, and it was almost like a burial chamber. And what's interesting is it was almost like pressed into a wall, or like a cavity in the wall. And then in front of this cavity, I never say it right, stalactite.
Yeah, sounds right.
Stalactite. Stalagnite, I always say it wrong. Stalactite. That there's a stalactite, a huge stalactite had formed in front of this like burial cavity, burial chamber. Now they're 100 feet underwater, if not more. And there's a stalactite. Stalactites are caused by dripping water, where
Oh.
not underneath, right? So that tells you that that stalactite formed, slow dripping down when it was a cave, pretty much. When it was an open sinkhole, when it was dry, maybe. And then the water must have came up. So we might be seeing multiple sea level rises and shifts, right? But regardless, if it's that deep down and you pull it out of a wall and it's lodged into the wall behind a stalactite, you know that it was there before the stalactite dripped, and you know that the stalactite was there before the water rose, right? You know that it was dry at some point, or roughly somewhat dry. So using methods like that, God doesn't make it so impossible to figure things out. There are certain kind of foolproof methods, indicators. That's what we call evidence, by the way. That's not proof. That's called evidence. It's evident. Right. Evidence should be that which is evident, not that which, you have to bend over and stare into a microscope for 10 hours to get a whiff of,
Flat Earth equals 31 too.
Good point. I think Elohim equals 31. And what's his face? Michael Tellinger does a whole thing about 31 and the latitude or longitude 31.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that one.
But you have slides? Are these your slides?
No, this is from the website. So I think that they buried their dead here because they saw it as a sacred area. Which, I
Yes.
mean, think about it. If you see an opening in the ground, primitive people, you'd be like, God did this, and let's start throwing bodies in there to appease the gods. And this is where it gets interesting, because where we talked about the ancient Maya doing human sacrifice in the cenotes, well, there are theories, which I'm sure you've covered before, where the Mayans were in Florida at one point, and there's pottery evidence of that. And what I found interesting was that, so here's the cross Gulf travel theory, that the Maya came to Southwest Florida. We have the connections between all the tribes that are kind of sort of similar to mine. What are you laughing about? What's so funny?
Nothing.
Is you're chirping? Anyways,
just your brain dead subscribers.
What about them? Carbon dating is BS, is that? Whatever.
No,
Okay.
just teasing.
So objects found in the sacred cenote, we have various things. They use this sort of little crane to take the stuff out. This is going back to the cenote, not to the Warm Minnow Springs. And here's where it gets interesting. This is where I want to get your view on it. The hell sinkhole in Greek mythology, Zeus imprisoned the monster Typhon in this sinkhole after their battle. The sinkhole is located in the Taurus Mountains in Mersin province, Turkey. It is 128 meters deep, and visitors can view the scenery from a glass viewing terrace. And notice Senet and Senem, I guess is how you would say that, heaven and hell. Senet and Cenote are kind of sort of, right? I mean, we can stretch that out, right? This is the Old World Florida channel, right? Senet, Cenote. So I'm like, oh, did they get their words from? Again, this goes back to Greek mythology, which you talk about the influence of the Greeks in Florida, right? Greek, Creek, all that. And of course, here's a picture of it. These are the two. I believe this one is the, I forgot which is which, but anyways, these are the two here that allegedly Typhon, which is this huge serpent being entity, was imprisoned in one of these holes, right? Human sacrifice. Certain cenotes contain a large number of human remains, including both male and females and young children / infants. Evidence from Maya mythology suggests that many young victims, most age 6 to 12, were male, while the classical images of female Maya sacrifice being flung alive to drown in a cenote are pervasive. This particular researcher's writings on the subject suggest that Most sacrificial victims, juveniles, were either purchased or captured while their parents were working in the fields, warriors captured in battle, or elites captured during conflicts with neighboring clans. They were usually, though not always, killed prior to being thrown in the cenote, and in many cases, dozens of miles from the cenotes in which their bodies were eventually deposited. So again, this aspect of offering to this opening that could perhaps be seen as a sort of portal to the underworld or anything else. Think about it. I mean, it amazes us looking at these videos, modern day. Imagine back then you come up, or you settle before it opens up, and then the ground opens up. You go, I did something wrong. I got to appease the gods for whatever reason. Now, we're talking about death, sinkholes, and Jeffrey Bush in 2013 died when he was swallowed by a sinkhole in Seffner, Florida. March 2013, a sinkhole opened up beneath Bush's bedroom while he was asleep. His brother Jeremy was at home at the time and tried to save him, but was unable to. Bush's body was never recovered. So the sinkhole, they had closed it up, and the sinkhole opened up again in 2015. And then again in July 10th of 2023, it opened up again. So they keep filling it in. They destroy, they demolish the house around it. There's a fence around it, and it keeps coming back. And here's a picture of Jeffrey, and this is the sinkhole now, approximately 30 feet by 100 feet deep. And unfortunately, he was sleeping, and it opened up directly under his bedroom where his bed was. And he was never seen again. And if you listen to the video of the interview that they did with his brother, let me play this here real quick. They did an interview with his brother, and he talks about how he could hear him screaming for help to get him. Chrome tab. Here, let me know if you can hear this.
Florida, of that cavernous sinkhole that swallowed a home and a young man in his bedroom.
You're muted, bro.
And ABC's Gio Benitez shows us.
Good.
He is there.
I can't hear you, bro. Did we bug out again? Something happened, bro.
You hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Well, Jesus. Well, what I was trying to say before Mossad hit me with the audio scramble, Iron Dome, red button. Basically, that I wouldn't mind. It's not that funny now, but I wouldn't mind hearing her, the news anchor, scream my name while she's at the bottom of a sinkhole.
Jesus Christ. Can you hear it?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear it. You can hear me now.
This is our first look at the massive sinkhole that swallowed
So
up
this was his
37-year-old
bedroom.
Jeff Bush while sleeping in his bed. Look closer. Authorities tell ABC News the sinkhole, about 30 feet wide and 100 feet deep, could well extend underneath the two neighboring homes, both less than 40 feet away.
There's no one allowed in those homes, and there will be a determination made if they're condemned in the coming weeks.
Earlier today, crews used heavy machinery to recover some of Bush's personal items from the bedroom.
Real quick.
Careful.
Yeah. What happened?
Yo, let's throw Puzz. William Puzz needs to get thrown down a sinkhole too.
Come on, dude. This guy?
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a nice guy, dude. I'm sure he's
Puzz got to leave the laboratory for a day.
No. They actually had to get the stuff here with a excavator. And what's interesting, I didn't put this in the presentation, or maybe I did. There is a whole community in I believe either Land O'Lakes or the Villages where the government ordered the people to leave because there's a sinkhole on the property, and the people said nope, and the county made them sign a paper saying that if anything happens to them because of the sinkhole, they can't come back and sue them. So they literally kicked them out of their own homes, and the people fought to go back and live in the houses because, again, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't sell the house. The insurance won't pay out on it.
We're closed. Sorry about that.
Well, you close your door, bro, and they won't come in.
Dude.
Close the door.
I'm just going to sign off. All right, you guys can listen to fucking Hans gay ass shit by yourself.
Go close the door, bro.
I actually have a girlfriend, by the way.
Don't leave.
Not
What are
just
you doing?
not just a made up content wife. Okay. And when
Go-
she leaves, I don't get up and immediately lock it behind her.
Oh, okay, I got you. Well, I'm sorry, Dad. Don't be mad.
People are always walking by and fucking yanking on the door.
Listen, we'll finish this video while you do
his
that. I love you,
jacket and
Donovan.
hat from the wall. But Jeremy Bush is frustrated his brother remains buried in the rubble.
They got this big equipment. Why can't somebody be harnessed up on that equipment and try and rescue him?
Authorities say that's just too dangerous.
Any additional loss of life would have made this tragedy even worse.
So today, that machine ending the demolition by sending flowers for Mr. Bush down into what is now his grave.
Damn.
As crews now fill this sinkhole with gravel to stabilize it, we've learned a new sinkhole opened up just hours ago here in the same town. This one, we're told, did not hurt anyone.
So another sinkhole opened up in that same county that same day. That was in 2011 when that, and then there's the interview here with the well, you guys can't see that, with the brother. Anyways, let me share my screen here, where he's talking about trying to rescue his brother, and his brother, he could hear him allegedly screaming for help, for him to help him. Here we have this particular home, sinkhole damaged home in the Villages, on the market for $499,000. What ended up happening, the sinkhole ended up opening up. They deemed the house that they had to demolish it. It went off the market for a while and then popped back up on the market. So this is maybe something. And on the listing, it says to check that they had allegedly done some stabilization in the foundation of the home. Let's see if it's still on the market here. So this is the house. And is it for sale? Is it this one? Oh, they sold it in 22222 for $525,000. And the sinkhole was right here. This is the picture. That's that house right there, dude. Yeah. Go ahead.
Nothing. I just tried to make a tip goal for you to strip naked, and it YouTube rejected it, said it was not allowed. Hopefully I don't get in trouble. You ever do that? You ever start a tip goal?
No, I would know.
Start a tip goal to start a
get the tip jar out.
We'll summon a
homunculus.
Homunculus. We'll do the rite of Hades and summon a sinkhole.
Again, a home in the village is declared uninhabitable due to sinkholes. They discovered that these sinkholes were opening up on their old golf course there, right? They always turn these old burial mounds probably into golf courses. And so here's another picture of another house with a sinkhole in front of it. Sinkhole there, sinkhole here. Florida sinkhole might force condemnation for more homes. I think this is the one that I was talking about, where they kicked everybody out and they ended up fighting the county to stay in their houses. This is Land O'Lakes, Florida. This is from 2017. And how, again, everyone says, my house is fine, but the county can go in and tell you, hey, you got to get out. And then I'm sure you can't do anything, because if you don't have sinkhole insurance, then you're kind of screwed when it comes to that. It's like a nightmare. Neighbors unsettled after 60-foot sinkhole in front of Polk County home. This is January 23, 2024. A 60-foot sinkhole opened up in front of this house. Look at that, dude. Imagine just your yard just caves in, bro. And a 60-foot deep sink. That's deep, bro. 60 feet. You could die from just the fall in there. But they have this huge excavator. And yeah, that's another one there that I found. And again, there's numerous ones of this. Now, an interesting one that I didn't know about, that I learned about doing research for this. Check this out. This is Lake Eola in downtown Orlando.
Really?
If you look here, what does that remind you of? Again, It's very circular, nothing going into it, nothing going out of it. In 1888, Lake Eola was recognized as a City of Orlando public park. But what you probably didn't know was that in 1873, it was purchased 200 acres, and along with the help of a natural aquifer 200 feet below ground and the flooding of stormwater, this area became a beautiful lake known to the public as Sandy Beach. This lake was perfect for sailors to enjoy on hot Florida days, and that became Lake Eola. So,
wow,
Lake Eola,
I never knew that.
is a sinkhole, or at least a part of it, and that's why it filled up with water. I didn't know that either, bro. When I was doing research, I'm like, what? We've all been there. And there's also other ones that people have visited that are also sinkholes. So Florida's Sinkhole Alley. Now, there's a part of Central Florida known as Sinkhole Alley, which I showed a little bit at the beginning. It goes all the way from Hillsborough County and close to Tampa, all the way up to Daytona, and it goes through our areas of Maitland and Winter Park. So here we have, it is an easy way to see if a lake started as a sinkhole. And by the way, I was going to get a geologist on who had a lot of knowledge about sinkholes. I sent him an invite. He had agreed to come on. And then when he checked out the channel, he said, no, thank you. So yeah, he's like, I don't think I align with your shows. So I'm going to go ahead and decline after he had said yes. But whatever. I'm sure we can find a cool geologist who knows about sinkholes that is willing to come on.
I hope you guys appreciate how much of a fool me and Juan make of ourselves, reaching out to normies sometimes, trying to get good content, trying to get a good outside take. People aren't as open-minded as you'd like them to be.
Yeah, they see one thing, they see one thumbnail, one particular title that they don't like, and it's all downhill from there. And that did happen to me this week. I was excited he was going to come on because, again, a geologist who has studied.
People always be like, if I make a video on, who knows, geology or sinkholes, for example, this is just like Juan saying. Someone might say, look at these two fucking loser armchair, fake experts, why don't you have a real expert on to talk? It's like, well, when we do reach out to them, they also think we're total losers and, like don't want to conspiracy weirdo, stuff. But
I can't. My digital footprint is out there. I wear it loud and proud. So if you don't like it, then whatever. Chopra said that there's an easy way to see if a lake started as a sinkhole, and this is where if you fly over Central Florida, if you see those really round lakes, they're probably sinkholes because a sinkhole is typically a funnel that fails the surface and falls in. So again, that round shape, which I have a property actually with a round pond on it, could be a sinkhole. While they're pretty from the sky, they can be concerning and dangerous in residential areas. So again, Sinkhole Alley, all the way from Hillsborough County and close to Tampa, all the way up to Daytona. So essentially a corridor from the top of the state all the way down the center of it, all the way over to Tampa, where the sinkholes are most common. And so here we have a picture of it. So again, this area here, Daytona's down here.
Yeah,
so
pretty much. I don't know what how much of the Greek Juan's gonna get into, but this is pretty much the same area that John Saxer swears is Atlantis, capital seaport of Atlantis, the main, epicenter of Atlantis. And he actually talks about the sinkholes and how the sinkholes are one of the big indicators for that. His whole thing kind of is the Greek pantheon, all the Greek gods. Do they have enough natural, forces in Greece to inspire all those gods? And in Greek myth, there's a lot of sinkhole myths. Greece, we talked about one. I think Juan brought one in Greece earlier. Maybe not. But in Greece, they don't get that many. Florida gets a shit ton. And this exact area right over here, Tarpon Springs, happens to be the most Greek city in all of the Americas. Tarpon Springs, Florida. Right there, right about where Sinkhole Alley starts. And the story of Persephone, right? Swallowed up by a sinkhole, I believe, down into Hades, and then had to kind of be negotiated back to the surface. Yeah, look that up. I think it's Persephone. Yeah, John Saxer tells this whole story on one of my videos, the Saxer Stones or Saxer Saga.
Yeah, I don't have much of the Greek. If you want to inform us on that, I had the Zeus connection there with the Underworld and the trapping of the serpent in one of the two things there. But I didn't know about her being abducted by her uncle Hades, the king of the Underworld. Yep.
There's lakes in Greece that some people say is the remnant of the sinkhole, where Hades opened up a sinkhole to swallow, this beautiful woman down into hell, into the underworld, Hades.
So yeah, I think it's the two that I showed earlier. No.
Maybe.
Yeah, in Turkey, heaven and hell.
Yeah.
Here,
can we check one real quick? Can you go on Google Maps or something, Apple Maps, and look at the IBM Boca Raton?
IBM Boca Raton.
Yeah, I swear there's probably a sinkhole next to it.
Let's see, IBM Boca Raton maps on Northwest Fifth Way.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull it up here.
Or is it Demeter?
Whoa! Where'd it go? IBM, here we go. This one here.
IBM, Florida. No, that's IBM Boca Raton.
This is I looked up, so it's 6.
No, that's not it.
Fort Lauderdale. IBM Boca Raton. IBM near Boca Raton. Yes,
like IBM headquarters. Innovation Campus. Sorry, IBM is not there anymore. My bad. Innovation Campus. No, it was right.
Innovation
Campus.
Here, Boca Raton.
Yeah. IBM's not there anymore.
Oh, that's right here.
Yep. Look at that fucking shit, dude. Now, I think that one's man-made, but zoom out a little bit. There's one right next to it, too.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Well, this one flows.
Or maybe, maybe zoom out a little bit more. Or maybe not. Maybe that is it. The one right in the middle. That one looks rather deep. Who knows? I could be wrong. But look at the hexagon with the fucking circular lake. I mean, come on. And this is where the personal computer was invented. You know about this? Yeah. Boca Raton, which is the most Jewish city in America, pretty much, besides New York, which doesn't really count. IBM, the whole city, it's very new city, but it was created kind of around IBM. IBM, they came out with the first personal computer. I could be wrong on that. I don't know if it was technically the first, but the first big one, right? Was iPhone the first smartphone? Probably not, but it's the one that everyone, thinks of, right? So this is kind of the same deal. IBM created the personal computer and, manufactured it, I think. They designed it, something here. And so you can go take tours and, it's like a big, what's up, Andrew? Shout out, Andrew. Not a baba. Yeah, it does look like the CERN logo. It looks like an owl, doesn't it? It looks like a Drake owl, like the hexagon.
If we want to take in the occult significance of it, if we take into consideration the occult significance of the underworld and what's all that comes with that, let's say that they did find a spring, right? And they built something around it to kind of sort of harness the power or something of said spring. I mean, I wouldn't put that past any occult group or any people in power, right? Because it's about taking the burial mounds, building a golf course over it, kind of sort of dancing on the graves of the dead. And then you have these holes that probably claimed a ton of lives, like the mystery hole that just was taking lives back, uh, one after another. And what that does, right, to the energy in the area, to the energy of the place. Blood magic is a real thing, and I think it's one of the most powerful forms of magic in the occult. So if it was an offering place to some earlier people that threw in dozens of people in there, that powers the machine, right? And literally, quite literally, it powered the machine of whatever IBM is. And if you look at the origins of any electronics, especially the computer, you have a lot of guys involved in that were 100% into the occult. Charles Babbage trying to summon the devil. You had the Ada Lovelace, who was saying that she was the devil. At one point, they were writing letters to each other, and she said that she was the devil who was working hard for Charles Babbage. So I think that he succeeded in. She was actually the first computer programmer ever in the history of computers. I think that he did succeed in summoning the devil at one point when he was a little boy, doing the Lord's Prayer backwards and cutting his hand, trying to see the man himself at one point. So technology goes back a long time, in my opinion. I think that's what a Enochian is, and I think that's what all the tablets and everything else was before. It was just a primitive form of technology that people use to talk to spirits and entities, and now we're using them. We're using them to do this presentation and show people about the occult origins of IBM. So
what do you guys think that sign looks like? Juan, what do you think it looks like?
Which one? The CERN one?
Yeah, flip. You can like twist it around too.
Yeah, the CERN logo. It looks
like an owl to me.
Well, people say it's 666, right? So you have the sixes there.
Here, zoom in again. Let me look at it again.
This one?
Yeah, let me look at the IBM place itself. The lake. In the back, yeah.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, kind of. Again, there's something to that shape.
That place is huge, by the way. Huge. And it's like solid concrete.
It's a 6 sides, right? One.
Yep, it's a hexagon in the middle. Almost has like a DNA look to it, kind of.
Mm-hmm. That could be a portal, bro. I mean, who knows? This might be a Stargate of some sort. I mean, that was the whole thing with, you can interpret sinkholes like that too, a spiritual meaning of it being a portal to, again,
well, IBM is the main villain of 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Hal
is IBM. Do you know about this?
I didn't know he was IBM, but I know that Hal in Coptic means simulation.
Yes. Hal is HAL. H minus H plus 1 is I. A plus 1 is B. L plus 1 is M. Stanley Kubrick came up with Hal by or whoever wrote the novel originally, or whatever the story is to begin with. Whoever came up with it took IBM and added one, just moved each letter one letter forward.
Mm-hmm.
HALIBM.
Oh, I got you.
And Stanley Kubrick was kind of like afraid of computers. Hal is IBM.
What you did there.
Yeah. HAL is IBM. He just couldn't do it for copyright purposes. He didn't want to get in trouble or like actually scare people about computers, but he wanted to get the message across. He's kind of like the first Terminator to have that. Sorry, the first movie to have that Terminator vibe to it. Like, the machines are out to get you. And it was IBM that sparked that he felt IBM was going to put like a AI box in every single home. He thought some people thought it was going to be the end of the world, right? People were afraid of technology back then too, by the way.
Whoa, dude, that's interesting, bro. The
yeah.
shifting of the letters. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, let's say that real slow for everyone who didn't notice. In Eyes Wide Shut, the bad guy, the computer program, the AI entity voice that's, homicidal, trying to, kill the other crew members. Its name is Hal, H-A-L. And people don't really think about the name, but H-A-L is supposed to be a reference. It was to IBM. IBM at the time was kind of like the Apple computers, the most famous pop, hip, cool. Everyone had an IBM computer back then. I don't know. I wasn't there, but from what I've been told, what I've learned in America, growing up in Florida is this is my hometown. So we all know about IBM growing up here. And yeah, IBM is HAL. Stanley Kubrick didn't want to get in trouble, or he didn't want to
You meant
legal
2001
issue.
Space Odyssey, not Eyes Wide Shut, right?
Did I say Eyes Wide Shut? Sorry, we watched
Yeah,
that. We watched that like last night or something, 2 nights ago. But yeah, 2001: A Space Odyssey. HAL is IBM. IBM was headquartered in Boca Raton, Florida, probably at that same time, 1969, 70, whatever.
That's an interesting connection, dude. Yeah, I know that the headquarters was here, but I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to use something sacred. Who knows, right? What was going on here? Why Miami was chosen as the place that it was. I think that Flagler and all these guys, I think they were in the know when it comes to all this lore and everything that.
Yeah. Well, Boca Raton means mouth of the mouse.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows?
So we have here Persephone's goes, she's negotiated with, and now yes, I didn't know about the Saxer connection and that he uses the sinkholes as evidence of this being Atlantis. Because I mean, think about it. If there is an entire underworld underneath us, this civilization that maybe perhaps existed underground for whatever reason, and it got flooded, right? Because it filled with water. And then you have to go on the outside and live on the outer side of it. And sometimes when the water gets low enough, it opens up and swallows you whole sometimes. Chorba,
Yep.
there's 2 types of sinkholes. One that forms under sand, usually produce depressions before the limestone underneath gives way. But when the ground has a layer of clay under it, like the one in Sefner that suddenly collapsed and killed a man in his sleep, that's the type of one. There are little to no warning signs. Chorpa said that's because the clay acts as a barrier. Everything falls apart below. Then once everything is gone, the clay barrier falls and everything on top comes tumbling down. So if you want to make sure that the land you are living on is safe, Chorpa said, you can talk to Central Florida experts or get a geotechnical firm to come out and bore into the ground. As for us, he didn't want to come on the show to talk to us if we were safe or not, but it is what it is. America's Sinkhole Island, where roads cave in, homes are swallowed whole, and people vanish into the void beneath. So now, tonight when you're sleeping and you put your head on that pillow, just think about it for 1 second. Your house is settling. It might be because I don't know. Anyways, so Disney has a dark little secret that I know about, and I've been here, right? And I'm going tomorrow. I'm not going to Epcot tomorrow, but I'm going to be in Disney tomorrow. And it turns out that a giant sinkhole almost destroyed Epcot. Okay, once upon a time, according to Disney legend Marty Sklar, one of the key Imagineers behind Epcot, the gigantic sinkhole was discovered near the Odyssey restaurant. The sinkhole was so big that it halted construction plans for a whole section of the park. Sklar revealed that this during the park's 30th anniversary Q&A. Who the hell told this guy to say that? Like, how do you say that? You're not supposed to say that. Right? He said that the workers basically tried every trick in the book to fix the problem, like hammering giant pylons into the ground, hoping to stabilize it, but no luck. It was like the ground kept eating them up like some kind of earth-hungry monster. Maybe perhaps Typhon was down in the depths of this area here in the Epcot. So it turns out what they ended up doing was they ended up just covering it up with some steel plates. Now, he specifically says that next time you're here, make sure not to drop anything in this area because it's essentially, we don't have the dimensions of it, but it's essentially a sinkhole. Okay, that opened up and now it is covered up by some large plates. Let me see if I can find that part here, because I thought it was a conspiracy because I seen a TikTok about this a while ago, and I thought it was just a conspiracy. But when I looked into it, it was actually real, I guess. So yeah, I'm sure Disney probably didn't want that to get out.
That's crazy.
They probably kept that on the DL, bro. Like, hey, nobody say anything about this. Just cover it up with a plate.
I had no idea about this, but have you ever heard? I've had probably 10 people send me this weird little. It's like an interview on a big popular conspiracy theory, like new age conspiracy theory podcast. It's like this older guy. And I forget who's calling in. It's almost like coast to coast radio where like almost anyone can fucking call in and like say the weirdest thing. And this guy was claiming that this is right up your alley. There was this guy claiming that Disney bought that area for the underwater karsts and all this shit. I've never heard of this guy. I've never seen him since or anything about ever. He said that there's like an underwater entity and a Stargate underneath Disney in the water, and that Disney wants the water because, and he was pretty much saying Fountain of Youth, Stargate, underwater, like demon portal underneath Disney. Someone will know exactly what I'm talking about and send it to us.
I never heard about that, dude. I mean,
dude, it's crazy. It's I'll be honest, I never really follow up on it because it's pretty much like very woo-woo and there's not anything really to back it up. He's like saying it's like psychic information.
I believe. All right, so this is Mission Space. This is Test Track, if I'm not mistaken. This right here, which they're refurbishing right now, and then the area would be right here. So, I'm sure people have crossed through. I've crossed through here a bunch of times and through here. So it's this area here. Next time you're in Disney, I mean, check out the layout of this place, dude. And I'm sure that they didn't buy this land just because, right? They bought this land for a certain reason, in my opinion. I believe it's on the 28th or 29th parallel. If you look at that, his brother was allegedly a Mason. We saw Walt Disney equals 33. And also the fact that I believe 28th or 29th degree of Templarism is the sun degree, which, right, the sunshine state connection there. And so they also, right, this idea of recreating what God has made naturally in nature. Everyone knows about Disney Springs, which at one time was downtown Disney. And I was like, is there an actual spring there? Because they make it seem out like they have a whole fictional story around the area here now. And it turns out, no, Disney Springs is not a real spring. It has an artificial spring, but they came up with a story, a part of the fictional backstory of the area, which is a town built around a natural spring that was discovered in the mid 1800s. So they built this artificial spring and then gave the area this lore of the little make-believe town that allegedly was founded around the spring in the mid 1800s. Again, you're walking into a story of some sort, right? You're walking into essentially an alternate reality of theirs that they created artificially, but it's all based around this concept of a spring, right? Which, if we look at the occult connections to the springs, technically it should be like Hellhole Springs in Orlando, because the springs is a portal to another realm, another dimension. And go ahead.
Well, it's hard to say. If the springs typically have a good interpretation, but with the sinkhole, of course, it's dangerous, especially if it's like more stagnant. That's like a total like bad energy. If it's not a flowing kind of thing. That's why Warm Mineral Springs is so unique too. Is Warm Mineral Springs is a big, huge sinkhole, but it oozes out at just the right speed where it has like a little lazy river that comes out of it. And there's a couple other springs that are like that. They have a little lazy river that comes out of the sinkhole, and it just makes it more fresh.
So I have an interesting connection to what you said, and for those just tuning in, we're talking about Florida sinkholes, the history, some mythology, remains found in some springs here in Florida, and we're just going down the rabbit hole of sinkholes. And to kind of link it to, right, we're talking about technology, we're talking about IBM, we're talking about portals to other dimensions. There was this one interesting thing that I found a while back. And I remember being on the ferry that takes you from the parking lot to Magic Kingdom, and there was an island, and I was wondering what was on that island. And if you check out the island, it's actually based off of a Discovery Island. It's based off of a game. Now, what's interesting is that in 2020, I believe, during the whole pandemic and everything, there was a guy who snuck onto the island, and this was supposed to be right here on April 30th, 2020. A man was arrested for camping on Discovery Island. He was removed from the island and banned from Walt Disney property. He called the island a tropical paradise and said he did not know the area was off limits to the public. Now, the island is based off of a video game, which is about teleporting to other dimensions. Discovery Island video game. Yeah, dude, it's really crazy. And what they were going to end up doing was, is it this right here? So abandoned Discovery as an indie point and click horror. Is it this one? They were going to turn it into a replica of the game. Let me find it here. This is not it. Abandoned Disney Island. It's based off of a game. I talked about it a while back on an episode that I did, and it's based off of this computer game that they actually just redid. So let me see if I can find it here. All right. The island opened as Treasure Island on April 8th, 1974, a place to observe wildlife, and was later renamed Discovery Island when it was recognized as a zoological park. The admission cost $10. And filming location climax of the Treasure Macumbe, which is a double feature. And there is let me see if I can find the damn video game that it's based off of. Is it Treasure Island? Is it that Treasure Island video game? No, damn it. Here, I have to find it. Let me look for it, but it kind of ties into what you were saying.
Whatever. Well, here, something. Had you thought about bringing up the old ancient Florida mortuary cults?
No.
Search Florida water mortuary cult.
Florida water
mortuary cult.
Cult? Is that how you spell mortuary? Are we gonna see anything that we're not supposed to see?
No, that's good. Scroll down. Windover Pond is, Fort Center.
This one?
Yeah. This is one of the craziest quotes I've ever seen in a Wikipedia article. Go down. Or just search in here, cult. Find cult.
And the cultural.
Hit space. Hit space. Yeah.
No, they took it
None?
off. They knew that we were gonna talk about it.
No. Go back. You just go back. It keyworded this article before you clicked on it.
The
See
water
that?
mortuary. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro, if it's not here, we're logging off. Water.
Oh my god.
Oh, right here, right here.
Okay.
This one.
A water mortuary cult may have been widespread in southern Florida from Paleo-Indian times. What the hell does that mean? And why do they act like there's a lot of those? You know, like, oh, there might have been one of these here.
So here, let's read the source that they got here for us right here. And indicate the inland people control the networks along which such goods were traded. William H. Sears says that while Fort Center near Lake Okeechobee on Fish Eating Creek was part of the Calusa Empire, I see no reason to believe that the Calusa ever came inland to Fort Center. Oh, hold on. Next. Fort Center.
Well, yeah, they find all these cult items like model birds that would go at the top of the temples. If you go to Wikipedia somewhere, they have, or Richard Thornton, I think, does like illustrations of it. But they're pretty much like a cult, right? Or like a whole religion that a whole tribe or nation would be following. And it really centered on the burials and or maybe sacrifices. We don't know much about human sacrifice in Florida, but we know that it happened at least in some instances. But the whole burial culture was very important to them. They would bury their people in shallow ponds, sometimes sinkholes, right? Depends on the people, depends on the mood, I guess, maybe. But they would bury them in sinkholes, shallow ponds, in mud, or, like shallow muck and all that stuff. And this is where you get the mortuary cult thing, is that they swore, this was like a form of worship, was to lay dead people into still bodies of water. Here, hold on, just look up some of the pictures.
Right here.
Okay.
All this bespeaks presence of a mortuary cult. As Sears noted, this in turn implies the existence of religious beliefs. He believes further that maize cultivation may have been important in those beliefs, and that the pond signifies that water was a ceremonial requirement. This last is consistent with the idea discussed in previous chapters that South Florida was the scene of a water mortuary cult extending back in time to the Paleo-Indian period and forward until European contact. Whoa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the Windover bog is included with this.
Is that what that is here? These different mounds? I think we've talked about these mounds, right? They look familiar. The ones with the, are these different ones? Which are the Fort Center?
Yeah, Fort Center is a huge like astrological alignment thing.
Here.
It's kind of like Florida's Stonehenge.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's one of the birds. Go up. There's one of the birds that they would kind of like sacrifice or worship or do these ceremonies in front of.
That's wild, dude.
Go look up Richard Thornton, Fort Center. Thornton,
yeah.
Fort Center. Just go on images. Go to images. Yeah, the top left, all those. Just look at this shit. This is what they believe it looked like.
Yeah, which is part of this thing here too. So this is how I found you, bro. The first time when you had you had less than 1,000 subscribers was pyramids in Florida.
I think it was like 3,000.
No, it was like 1,000.
It was more than you.
Yeah, it was like 1,000, bro. Remember?
Try hard.
I remember, dude. the pyramids in Florida. So that was that's not here in Florida, is it?
I don't think that one is.
No.
Ocmulgee, I think that's Georgia.
Because they call them, right? They call them mounds in the States. There are no pyramids in the States. But then
Yeah. Well, you know, there's kind of two reasons for that. One reason, which was what I was thinking, kind of exclusively thinking early on, was that they don't let people call them pyramids. And that's true. But when they do, you know, now that I've learned more about them, you can see that they have, you know, they aren't exactly pyramidal. They're pyramidal platform mounds, but they aren't necessarily a step pyramid. And recently, over only the last year, I've kind of stumbled onto the theory that this is due to a like Abrahamic tenet, like an Abrahamic commandment. It's in Exodus where God tells the Israelites, don't build a step pyramid. I don't want a step pyramid. Don't build with hewn stone, and don't build steps up to my altar. Right? Mm-hmm. So maybe they were too primitive to build a pyramid. Maybe they did have pyramids in Florida, and we just aren't allowed to call them that. And or maybe they do have pyramids in Florida. They were capable of building them. They're just not pyramid-like because they chose to not use hewn stone out of a religious, you know, consideration. Who knows?
So I ended up finding that game that they were going to turn this island into, right? So since it's closing, the island has sat largely abandoned with no signs of development. Disney considered teaming up with Cyan Worlds to turn the island into a replica of the titular island from the video game Myst. And this is the game I was talking about. So they were going to turn that island into this thing, which essentially you solve puzzles and go into different dimensions and portals and stuff like that. So that's what they were going to turn that particular island into, that is sitting on abandoned for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So
that's
it
crazy.
Kind of links into what you were saying with the portal activity in the area. They say that no one ever goes missing at Disney, or no one ever dies on Disney property, because you know some people say that they take them and they dump them out, like, oh, you see, you didn't die on Disney property for whatever reason. They talk about a Brave New World. I don't know if you've ever seen the conspiracy with that, and that being a sort of portal to another dimension. There's been various researchers have talked about that, very well-known researchers. But yeah, they were going to have their own island where you solve puzzles and go into other realms. Check that out. Macintosh was one of the first video games developed. So here, let me finish my presentation. I just have a few other different well-known sinkholes or springs. Cherokee Sink is a natural geologic formation called the Sinkhole Lake. It was formed with a slow erosion, and this is 77 feet deep. Right, you wouldn't be able to tell by looking it up here, but you can go here and actually swim in it. The Devil's Millhopper, which was another one that was interesting. The oral history along this one is that the name Devil's Millhopper, one tells how early visitors who found bones and fossils at the bottom of the sinkhole believed that animals and beasts went down to the bottom to meet the devil. According to another story, the devil kidnapped a Native American woman, then created the sinkhole to trap her rescuers. Kind of sounds like Persephone's and being abducted by Hades, her uncle, right? And they had to go down there and negotiate. In truth, the sinkholes formed when the limestone underneath collapsed. And right, this is the lore. But imagine, dude, you're native peoples going in through the woods and you spot this. And mind you, it's an entire other reality underneath what you see up here. As soon as you go under, it's clear, right? And it's a whole other world. So you could see how these legends and how the occult significance or spiritual significance would be given to these places. It is 120 feet deep and 500 feet across. And there is a nature trail that goes up to it. The site became a state park in 1974. And the stairs that are in this picture were created in 1976. And then another interesting sinkhole that I found, which is actually different than the regular sinkholes that we have covered today, because the sinkholes that we covered today are formed on top of the ground. They open up, they swallow. There is something known as the NR1 sinkhole. There's a giant underwater sinkhole located in the Straits of Florida, 40 miles southwest of Key West, Florida. It is found at an approximate depth of 1,886 feet of water at the foot of the Portales Escarpment, an area of quaternary sediment. It was discovered in October of 1994 during a survey conducted by the American submarine NR1, a U.S. Navy nuclear research submarine, and it is named for the submarine. So it makes you wonder what they were looking for, right? That they just so happened to stumble across a huge sinkhole. It was the first identified via side scan sonar. And the interesting part about this one is that the discovery of the NR1 sinkhole prompted scientific interest, as sinkholes are generally believed to form only in environments which are subaerial or exposed to the air, so on the top of the ground. In contrast, the NR1 sinkhole is believed to be too deep underwater for the area to have been exposed to the air during formation of the neogene. It was the first documented evidence suggesting that it is possible for karst sinkholes to form entirely underwater. So think about it. If they can form underwater, what's the Gulf of Mexico? Is that a giant sinkhole? Why is that the original portal to the underworld? Like, what is that? It looks like a huge that's the last slide, but if you look at the Gulf of Mexico,
it looks you want to get your mind blown?
Do it.
Look up Great Hole of Andros.
We're gonna see stuff that we're not supposed to be seeing.
No, dude, chill.
Great Hole of Andros.
Yeah, Bahamas. I forget what they call it. Black hole, maybe. Black hole.
The black hole, large isolated column of South Andros that's 47 meters deep that was formed by chemical erosion. That one?
Yeah, that one. Check it out.
The black
show the
hole.
peeps.
Hold on.
And then we got to look up Sheol. Just read like the first couple paragraphs on the Wikipedia for Sheol.
Make sure I don't see anybody else's hole that I'm not supposed to be seeing here on my screen for the YouTube. Just making sure, bro. Just gotta make sure that there's no holes. Which one is it? Is it this one here? Wow.
Yeah. Look at the reef around it, dude. It's like too perfect.
It's got that reefer, bro. So I believe I read this too. So Andros has the highest concentration of blue holes in the world with over 200 of them.
Yeah. Whoa. Right off the coast of Florida.
There you go. Boom. Which, again, Bimini Road is off the coast of the Bahamas, right?
Yeah.
I mean, near Florida too. So,
and remember you said that one of them had like a layer of like 2 layers of water, water, like fresh on top and salt on the bottom, or vice versa. Yes. They all have this too. Most of these blue holes in the Bahamas, they're underwater, but then under the water, deep down, there's like a lake underneath at the bottom of the sinkhole of denser water.
Whoa. Oh, have you ever seen these videos, bro?
Yes.
Yeah, that gives me anxiety, bro.
Yeah.
Blue hole diving. So this is essentially, like a cenote type of thing, but check this out. Look at that. That's wild, bro. Oof.
You want to watch a little bit of, you want to finish off with, we can skip around and watch some of this video I sent you in the private chat. The first one. And look up Sheol. Read Sheol for the people. S-H-E-O-L.
All right. Let me look that up. This kind of looks like an owl. And I think that this is the one that's 666 feet deep that I did a video on, because the guy who died doing the submarine at the bottom with the Titanic, his partner wants to study the blue hole. So the the Titan co-founder, Blue Hole submarine. The Guillermo Sonle left Ocean Gate in 2013 and found another company dealing with underwater exploration called Blue Marble. The upcoming expedition the company is a trip down the 663. If you do meters, you can stretch it to 666 feet of unexplored sinkhole in the Bahamas, known as Dean's Blue Hole. So they're searching somebody else's hole in this one here, 600 feet deep. But the partner of the dude who died on the Ocean Gate Titanic. You said Sheol?
Yep, it's like the Hebrew underworld. It's unique for being like an aquatic, almost like karst geology type of. That's kind of how they envision, how they describe hell,
right
Sheol, the underworld.
Sinkhole. Abode of the dead in the Hebrew Bible, the Christian Old Testament. The term can be interpreted to mean either the literal place in which dead people are placed in the ground, or the ancient world's concept of the afterlife as a subterranean land of gloom and deep darkness. I mean, if this ain't if Dean's Hole ain't dark enough for you, then I don't know what is, right? I mean, it's really fascinating, dude.
Dean is like the biggest casting couch name ever.
Is it really? Check this
like,
out.
Hey, did you guys see my headshots? And it's like, my name's Dean.
It's like a butt plug right there in Dean's Hole.
All right, never mind. Sorry, guys. Juan is. You give him an inch, he takes a fucking mile.
That's right. Love it. What else? The video that you sent me, right? Discoveries underwater, Warm Mineral Springs, Florida. Let me share my sound here. And let us know what you guys want to hear next week when we get together. As far as a presentation I can put together, anything in particular.
They'll be happy with whatever we give them.
Yeah, you're right, dude.
Fucking peasants.
Fuck them, dude.
Fucking.
All right, here we go. All right, let me know if you can hear this.
The sunshine and bathe in the hot mineralized waters since the arrival of the Spanish conquistadors. And they still come. Mainly retired Middle Europeans.
Can you hear that, Argo?
Yeah, it sounds good.
By the way, I want to give credit to Sense Offense. Yeah, six subscribers. So this is a video on his channel from a BBC TV documentary. So,
believing, as others have before, in the rejuvenating power of the springs. But 250 feet below the surface lie the ancient remains of extinct animals and humans. In these deep, dark waters, there have been made some of the most sensational discoveries from the prehistoric world.
Those railings are for you, bro. For handicap use only.
Retired Air Force Colonel William Royal, was the first to find human remains. Today, at 80, and crippled by a diving accident whilst exploring.
Dude, why do we gotta watch him messing with his
junk? The colonel was at the center of a controversy that turned the archaeological world against him.
Yeah, replay that second. Sorry, that was important.
It was in 1950.
You want to see him adjust his balls again?
Company, attracted by William Royal's story.
Want to play it again?
Navy diver
yeah, go
with
back like 10.
That turned the archaeological world whilst exploring at the bottom of the springs. The colonel was at the center of a controversy that turned the archaeological world against him. It was in 1959 that an American TV company, attracted by William Royal's story, sent a Navy diver with a camera down into the springs to record the colonel's discoveries.
That's the guy that discovered the brain, huh?
Yeah. They're going to tell the story
they
here in a
started
sec.
working up the slope and picking up bones. we run into the skull. And the skull was sitting right on
This is the real
bedrock.
video.
So
Whoa.
we had, sediments were laid down.
Can you pause this?
From 10,000.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but somehow they got this live on TV.
That's weird.
I think they're gonna tell this story here, but he found some weird ass shit, and then I think my memory is usually pretty good, and I remember them saying they found something, and then they put him on TV again, except this time it was live. Like they wanted to make something like really cool out of it. I could be wrong, but it was live when he found this. I could be wrong because that's very early and like old to have like a live feed underwater. But play it. Maybe I'm wrong.
To 8,000 years ago. They wanted me to pick the skull up and hold it in my hand and bring it up to the surface, which shows that in the movie. But the most important thing is when I turned the skull over, there was hard-packed leaves stuck on the base of the skull, and so I waved the leaves off underwater. And right in the foramen magnum hole, where the spinal cord comes through the bottom of the skull, I noticed this looked just like white ivory soap. And so I started to stick my finger in. And thought, gee, I said, this is real strange sound.
Colonel.
So, this shows us in the movies. As I go up, I'm sticking my finger in and wobbling it around. Then a thought occurred to me, this has got to be brain material. And oh my God, I was really disturbed because here...
I love how his first instinct was to stick his finger in it.
Finger blast the shit out of it.
Oh, Colonel, what are you doing?
Probably the first time in the history of the world anything like this had happened here.
Rests in peace for 10,000 years, only to get
finger blasted by the Colonel.
And when we got up to the surface, I told everybody, I said, it's fantastic. I said, we got a human brain in this skull.
Everybody, go and try this out. Stick your finger in there.
It's so squishy.
When the skull was cut open, 1/3 of the brain remained intact. It was dated at
after
around
he got done
11,000
finger blasting
years
it.
old. After the film was shown, no one believed it, and it was branded a hoax.
Oh, wow.
I've always known that we had the most important archaeological site in the world, and the first one in the world like it, because I traveled around the world extensively, and I've been looking at it a lot. Anyhow, the most important thing is that you could work down there for 100 years with a team of archaeologists who wouldn't find it all. But we expect to go back. We've already gone back about 12,000 years.
And back. He was back.
In time. And we should go back 15, 18,000 years as a possibility with humans.
There you go, there you go.
However, one man who did take notice was Florida State underwater archaeologist Dr.
Sonny Cockrell,
known as Sonny.
R.I.P.
For years, he had been searching off the Florida coast for Paleo-Indian settlements. When he heard the stories of fantastic finds and early graves at warm
I heard they're
mineral
finger
springs,
blasting skulls
it was
out
too
here.
much for him to resist. But fearing his reputation might be destroyed, he arrived in 1972 with what he recalls as a good, healthy skepticism.
That's what it still looks like today, by the way.
I've never been. We're gonna have to go.
Drive up there. It's like frozen in
Well, I
time.
was rather skeptical about it when I first came here because for 10 years, the archaeological profession had been discussing this as one of the most significant frauds in American archaeology.
Here, can you pause it, Juan?
Yeah, yeah.
I want to address some of the comments. Okay. Someone said that skull is not that old if the brain was still there. Well, that's kind of the whole point why we're watching it.
Yeah.
This is the oldest one, right? It's usually not the case, but this one's very unique. So pay better attention. Who else?
And also,
Even a skull Someone else said, even a skull would last only months in the ocean. Animals and bacteria would dissolve. Now, I don't know how that comment was directed, but if that's like you guys don't know what you're talking about. Well, this is not the ocean, so forgive me if you're just chilling and vibing to the video. But if you're trying to, bite at our heels with that, this is not the ocean. And Florida spring water, this is technically a Florida spring, but this is very remarkably unique water. This is some of the most mineralized water in the world. It has like a complete, profile of all these minerals. It has like the most minerals of, I don't know if all springs, but if you test spring water, it has a shit ton of minerals. It's like, this can happen, by the way. You can take a brain and put it in the right solution, right? And it'll be preserved. There are some springs in Florida that have that right balance. And actually, and you said animals, there's no animals in this. There's little to no animals in this because it's pretty much oxygen free. Oxygen free. So almost nothing can grow in there. It's like a salt bath, but it's also balanced to where it won't just dissolve things, right? It's preservative. Okay. Everyone happy now? Everyone paying good attention? It can happen. And how far down deep these skulls were located tells us something about their age. I don't even think they're carbon dating these. They carbon date them later. And happens to match up with the dating, but still, boom, get wrecked,
I wonder how many others they found. Have they finger blasted those?
Earth shaking that no one was willing to believe him, and that's when the fraud story started. It's a very eerie dive, a first-time dive, or maybe even a second or third or 20-time dive. It's a very, very strange place to dive. In the morning, it's clear, and in the afternoon, the water turns murky because it's photosensitive. We went down on the north side, and Colonel Royal took me to see the stalactites. And as a proof, the stalactites are wondrous proofs that this hole was once dry. I mean, stalactites take thousands of years to form, and the entire circumference of the cavity is ringed with dripstones or stalactites around 30 to 40 feet. Now, there are some as shallow as 12 feet, and there are some as low as 90 feet. Some of them are as large as trucks. And so I was able to swim through those and see for myself the actual proof that this place had indeed been dry for thousands of years. Of course, my question as an archaeologist was it dry when the people were here? I mean, if Colonel Royal had found human remains, were they there because they'd fallen in?
That's wild.
Were they Indians that an alligator had perhaps caught on the surface and pulled under? Or just how did these bones, which Bill claimed to have found, come to be here? As you go in as a diver, this hole slopes down and then drops off suddenly and becomes a giant hourglass. It drops down from about 12 feet, and then there's a ledge. It opens up at about 43 feet, and there are small caverns, and then it comes back together, and its minimum diameter is half the surface diameter, and that's about 65 feet down. And then it proceeds to open up again at about 100 feet. And from 100 feet, the walls slope outward from the middle, and it's as wide at the bottom, at 230 feet, as it is at the top. So we have a situation of an hourglass here. And at the bottom of the hourglass is a cone, just as we have in the center of an hourglass. That cone we hit in the center, 124 feet below the present-day surface.
Oh, pause that one real quick. And for this one's not just hourglass shaped. It's literally like a sand glass, like an hourglass. There's a mound of sand in the middle. Ancient mortuary cult, human sacrifice. Saturn, god of time. Is the hourglass shape in a way, is this like a sync up of a symbol for Saturn, a symbol for time, sacrificing to time? right? When you look at this sideways, it literally is an hourglass, not just in shape, but in function too. Everything that falls down in there forms this little kind of pyramid of sand, mound of sand. So pretty trippy.
It's the cone that holds the secrets of the spring.
How far into this are we?
Whatever or whoever fell to the
9
bottom
minutes.
will be there below the layers of accumulated debris, preserved by the bacteria-free water. But to excavate at this depth is both difficult
They dropped their
and dangerous.
freaking chair in there.
Having satisfied himself that the site was legitimate, Sonny Cockrell gathered together a team of scientists, divers, archaeologists, and a video system to record and demonstrate the potential of what he felt was one of the most important archaeological sites in the world.
We've got a beautiful picture.
That's always been one of the criticisms of underwater excavation, is that you could not excavate stratigraphically. As you can see, that's absolute bullshit.
With limited funding, the work went on for 5 years, until the state suddenly closed down its vast underwater program, and the money ran out.
Of course.
In 1984, Sonny Cockrell came back, but he desperately needed help, and he got it.
166 Sarasota. I'll be 10-8 in about 10.
Deputy Sheriff Skip Wood, having completed a master's degree in archaeology, volunteered his services and became part-time dive master and assistant archaeologist.
Florida tag 41 Z Zebra J John H Henry.
Cockrell persuaded the state to donate $100,000 to the project, and at last things began to move again.
This guy's gone, right? Like he's not around anymore.
Corridor. The corridor is more expensive.
Sonny's dead, I believe.
Sonny's wife Barbara, ex-model, diver, and chief assistant.
Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.
It'd be wild to
Barbara had
talk
worked
to that
alongside
guy.
Sonny for 2 agonizing years to help get the diving restarted. Living and working in a small apartment a mile from the springs, the Cockrell's life is now completely taken over by the project.
The man hours that we've had to put in because of the limited staff are just incredible, and the amount of work that we've laid out to do this project properly is just too much that can be handled at any given amount of time. And so we're all pretty overworked, but we're all dedicated, and we're all just hanging in there with it.
So, with borrowed equipment, minimal tools for the job, and no on-site backup, the retired colonel, the deputy sheriff, the ex-model, and the archaeologist prepare to take on the task of excavating at the 45-foot ledge.
I believe
They
this is
face
the
the same
1980s,
problems as
right?
those of Nicholas Dixon in Scotland.
The
An underwater
1984?
site that cannot be seen,
Yeah, I
and
think so.
information that will take time to be revealed. It's not the sort of project that attracts
See
publicity-seeking
those
sponsors in
sperms?
a commercial world.
Dude, this place is crazy. Pause it real quick. Please, if you walk around the edge, it's like perfectly... This place is sick, dude. Yeah, we have to do a meetup here for sure. Once it's all...
Yeah, let's give it a few months to bounce back from the hurricane because it was right where the hurricane hit. So I'm sure. I'm sure it's probably fine, but
it's almost like it was sculpted by the gods. Like if you're looking at it bird's eye view, the outer ring is not deep. It's literally like it's perfectly like 5 feet deep to where an adult can like stand with their head out and like chill and like walk and talk and like hang out. You can walk, like everyone's walking, and people are walking in like this lazy river in a circle, and they're everyone's going clockwise. It's always clockwise, and they're walking so much that it creates a current. You can almost like just float because so many people are walking. It's like churning the water. Very weird, very cool. And it's all old people, they're not like no hippies, right? There's like no hippies here. Maybe sometimes there's hippies, but
yeah, you were the hippie there that day.
yeah, it's 99% retired Europeans, like I said. But on the outside, they all walk. No one really goes in the middle. On the outside, it's like perfect height to walk around. It's so cool. The temperature is super nice. If you go to the middle, though, it turns black, right? You feel like you're over an abyss. Me and my girlfriend would swim across, right? And you get goosebumps, man. It's
Yeah, it's one of the things I like about the springs when you stare down into its hole, you know.
Oh well, Cola Springs. You can't see at Warm Mineral Springs. You can't drink this either. Too, don't drink the water here. Some people do. I wouldn't recommend it. If you want water like it, there's a place nearby that you can drink. But also, Juan, this place has radium in it. You know this?
No.
It's radioactive. Yeah, a little bit.
Oh wow.
Yeah, radium water. So Fountain of Youth, radium. Some people think that radium lengthens life. It's been shown to do that in a few organisms. It's been shown to make seeds and things like that. Seeds and eggs hatch sooner and sprout sooner. Yeah, radium's crazy. It's a big whole fear campaign with the radium girls. Yeah, stick lead paint in your mouth with anything in it and your fucking mouth will fall off. You know, radium wasn't the main issue there, but whatever. Also, what else? That's it. Let's watch the rest of this. Or we can skip around a little.
Yeah, they're gonna go underwater here. Let's see.
There are leaves.
So they probably never found anything else because
dating back 20,000 years into the Pleistocene age. Enough material to
No, they
occupy
found
the
more
largest
stuff.
of
You know, you want me to tell you
and
what
an
they
army
found?
of scientists.
they showed on you.
Black pitch on the bottom.
Yeah, that.
It was
An atlatl.
carved from the central column of a whelk, our marine gastropod. This was the hook for a spear thrower. It, when found, still had the original black pitch on the bottom. It was glued to the end of a throwing stick and then lashed on. This was the far end. The stick was about this long. And we did not find the stick, unfortunately, with burial number 1. But this is the earliest evidence of the use of a spear thrower in all of the Western Hemisphere. And it's found with the burial at 10,240 years ago. With this spear thrower, or the Aztec word for it is atlatl, an Indian could stand here and kill at great distances with great force for the first time in the history of humanity. And we see just within 2,000 or 3,000 years following the introduction of this tool into this area, the Native American populations grew in size and grew in stature. And I think this tool was one of the keys in that.
I found an ancient joint, bro.
If the people were here, burying their dead, where were their settlements?
Can you put that in the national crime statistics? Certainly.
With the help of the local adult educational college, Sonny now runs a field school, digging trenches.
For 25 cents an hour, they could. This place is only being protected by the goodwill and generosity of the owners, and that's all the protection it has.
An impairment of reasoning and judgment and ability to think.
As they leave the vertical wall, they follow a line and a compass course down into the darkness. The mineralized water has a destructive effect on their equipment. In the past, demand valves have jammed and their air supply has been cut. The cone,
fuck
with its
that,
deck chair,
dude.
looms
Oh, dude,
up
the
at
soundtrack on this thing
only
is
20 minutes to
fucking
excavate a small trench on
banging.
the side of the hill.
Just like a one
It's hard
dude with
work
like a
leaving air
synth.
at 6 times the normal pressure, and the sides of the trench are in danger of collapsing onto the diver.
I will not be at all surprised to find more human brain material and perhaps even find flesh. It would not be impossible to find human tissue in here or animal tissue. The possibilities of what you could do with DNA studies and that, of course, are endless.
I think that this site is one of the most spectacular windows into the past that one could ever have. We can travel back in time here. We don't have to imagine what the world was like 10,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago. When we got the analysis done here, we will know.
Whoa.
There's no reason that we shouldn't have the same preservation here that you got in the Danish peat bogs. We have the same situation. We have an anaerobic peat. So what we have
Anaerobic.
in this one hole standing right here.
That's why it's able
a
to
fossil
conserve
history
things.
Of both the flora and fauna of the Pleistocene going back at least 20,000 years.
Whoa, dude.
Underwater archaeology has changed our view of prehistoric man. The work is remarkable, the finds astonishing. Our knowledge continually grows. It is certain that in the near future, there will be discoveries to hit the world's headlines. The only uncertainty is whether there will be the recognition and support for the work to continue.
That's wild, dude.
Crazy.
Crazy. And that one hole, 20 up to 20,000 years. At least the skull that he finger blasted was 10,000. But if they keep digging away, oof. All right. So, anything else, Longo?
No, that's really it.
What'd you think?
Devil's Den is another. I don't know if that counts as a sinkhole, but that one's like world famous. It's like one of the most Instagram famous places of all time. Like pictured, shared, Instagram reels.
Is here. So it's formed by a karst window, what they call a karst window.
Yeah.
In which the
Almost
roof
the same
over a
thing.
subterranean river has collapsed. Subterranean river.
Yeah. Yeah, they have those in Greek mythology too, and we have a shit ton in Florida.
Oh, this is where they found these plates, right?
No, I don't think they found them there. Maybe nearby. I think it's like Jackson, Mount Royal, carbon, or those copper plates.
Small solution sinkhole, the top of it.
Nice.
All right. Well, so what'd you think of the sinkholes in Florida, bro?
That was good stuff. Great
Yeah.
presentation, Juan.
Thanks, dude. Try my best. I'm just trying to make you proud, bro. With the people will let us know what they thought about all the sinkholes in Florida. Stay safe if you feel your house settling a little bit too much.
Yeah. We
get
should have
it.
talked. We could have talked about the creature from the Black Lagoon too. You know about that movie?
I think that was actually filmed at the Mystery Hole, bro.
Yeah, I think it's Wakulla Springs, but they probably filmed at a couple springs around Florida. Wakulla Springs is, at least in part, they filmed the creature.
Oh yeah, Wakula. Yeah.
Creature of the Black Lagoon, which, yeah.
Yeah, but I could have sworn that they also filmed another one there at the Mystery Hole, Florida movie.
Tarzan?
Something. I'll have to find it for the next one. It's fine. Anything else you want to plug, bro, before we get out of here? This is great.
No, that's it. Oh, I got a video tomorrow, premiering tomorrow. Hidden Turkish history of America, Florida, South Carolina. Hidden Turkish history video coming out tomorrow. Keep an eye out.
Old World Florida YouTube channel. Juan on Juan YouTube channel. www.tjojp.com. Patreon.com. All that good stuff. Check it out. Links down in the description. As always, everyone, this was great. Longo, this was awesome. We'll see you guys next week with whatever we have in store.
Yeah,
Hopefully it's
Thursday.
good.
We'll do it Thursday, right?
Yep, Thursday.
Totes. Can't
All
wait.
right. Take it easy, everyone. Have a good night, and see you next week.